Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Hugh Freeze, the Auburn Tigers continue the momentum, building this 2025 class out, landing the commitment from four-star offensive tackle Tavarus Dice. Plays his high school ball at Langston Hughes, and this is a guy that when you turn on the film, which we are going to do in just a second, really is a box checker at that offensive tackle spot, 6'4", reportedly up to 300 pounds. You see him carry that weight extremely well, a very fluid and functional athlete at that offensive tackle spot. But make no mistake about it, I think the favorite element to Tavarus Dice's game in my mind is what he can do in the run game, playing with low pads, getting off the line of scrimmage, and being very powerful at the point of attack. He is a road grader in the run game. He can move bodies effortlessly off the line of scrimmage. And for all the conversation going into Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson, you look at what Hugh Freeze is doing on the recruiting trail. He's getting it done along the line of scrimmage, both that defensive line and the off. I mean, we said this when Hugh Freeze took the job at Auburn. You were going to see the recruiting go in the right direction for the Auburn Tigers, and that is certainly what we've seen play out. Want to get into Tavarus Dice, talk a little bit about what he brings to the table. I also want to do a short preview on what Auburn has coming in this weekend. We're going to do a longer episode previewing the recruiting weekend for the Auburn Tigers tomorrow, but Auburn's cooking on the recruiting trail. Before we get into Tavarus Dice, just want to say thank you to you guys. And many of y'all know talking recruiting is one of my favorite things to do in the scope of college football. It's been a blast updating you guys on what Auburn's been doing on the recruiting trail. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and thank you to the Auburn fans. You guys continue to show a ton of love, a ton of support to the fellas. And without further ado, let's get into Tavarus Dice. And again, I think it starts with the frame that you have. This is a guy that not only has a really good frame, he is a very functional mover for the size that he has. You talk about carrying 300 pounds well. Tavarus Dice certainly does that, and that's one of those differentiators that I look for with these offensive tackles coming from the high school classes, right? You look at a lot of guys who don't necessarily carry the weight all that well. Tavarus Dice certainly does, and he certainly moves like that as well. Very fluid in pass protection, extremely powerful in the run game, and a guy that seems to, I don't have the arm measurement, but seems to have very long arms as well. I think that makes him an extremely appealing offensive tackle, projecting him into the SEC. Want to get into the film on Tavarus Dice, and I think the first thing that pops out is how well he gets off the line of scrimmage, right? When you're talking about road grading, when you're talking about effortlessly moving people off the line of scrimmage, that is exactly what Tavarus Dice does, right? Gets off the football extremely well, gets hands on this defensive lineman, and you see him low pad level, getting into the chest and really effortlessly moving this guy off the line of scrimmage. This is a guy that wants to be physical. He wants to finish in the run game. Really big fan of what he can do in the run game. But I think one of the more impressive reps that you see is how well he is in pass protection, right? This edge rusher at this left tackle spot is going to challenge Dice in terms of the speed and bend. And you're going to see a 300-pound tackle who's an 11th grader at the high school level, has some really good feet. Now, he gets a little bit lungy, and that's kind of something you might want to clean up, but you see the feet moving. This is a guy that can mirror edge rushers extremely well. This guy tries to run the arc on him, puts him in the dirt. I really am impressed with the functional athleticism that Dice shows in pass protection. But again, a lot of this film is going to be him moving bodies in the run game. When he has, that's another thing I'd probably add, is when he's engaged with defensive linemen, he has extremely strong grip strength. I think this is one of the reps that really shows that when he gets engaged, I mean, guys are not getting off his block very easily, right? Very, very strong hands, just washing this guy down, finishing the block. He's got that nasty in you that you absolutely want to see with your offensive lineman, but you don't see guys get disengaged. When he has them, they're not getting off his block. And I think that's something that's really impressive on Tavarus Dice's film. Again, this is a guy that he gets in the chest really well, plays with good pad level, really effortlessly. You see a little nasty in him cleaning up that run game. Really big fan of what Tavarus Dice can do in the run game and pass. But you go back and, I mean, this is kind of what we're talking about. You talk about carrying weight really well. He getting off the line of scrimmage. I mean, first one off the ball. This is a guy that, this is not a very easy block to execute. Does it with ease. You see the power that he has in his hands. really big fan of Tavarus Dice, what he brings to the table, not only as a football player now, who you see the polish that he has, but what he can be with continued development as well. Nice little double team again, effortlessly moving people off the line of scrimmage. Now, you take a look at what Auburn's done, and I get it's been maybe a little bit of a rocky last couple of weeks for Auburn in this 2025 class. Make no mistake about it. This is a class that, to me, looks like it's going to finish top 5, top 8 in the country, and that's kind of what we expect for Hugh Freeze. And I think he's done a really good job balancing what he's doing in the transfer portal, what he's doing in the high school class, and talk about the modern day of college football roster construction. This is probably how you want it to look, right? You want to have top 8 classes consistently, but you also want to get it done in the transfer portal. I think that's what Hugh Freeze has done really well. Now, you scroll down how this class has taken form, I should say. They're established in the line of scrimmage, right? Malik Autry, one of the top defensive linemen in the 2025 class. Caleb Falk, if he's anything like his brother, going to be a stud as an edge rusher. You scroll down, the top 3 commits right now in this class are along the line of scrimmage on defense. And then you add a guy in Tavarus Dice, who I think has not only a really high floor as a prospect, but a really high ceiling as well. Now, taking a quick sneak peek to what Auburn is doing in terms of the targets that they're going after, I want to talk about one guy that we'll talk about a little bit tomorrow, but the USC commit, Julian Lewis, who, yes, he's committed to USC, but he's also taken a lot of visits, and it does sound like Auburn is probably one of the leaders in the clubhouse for Julian Lewis. Again, he's from the state of Georgia. This is going to be a very hard commit for USC to hold on to from across the country. And it seems like Julian Lewis is very interested in this Auburn offense. And we kind of expected this, right? Hugh Freeze, his track record of not only developing quarterbacks, but developing offenses in general is going to be a very attractive landing spot for a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the football. I'm really monitoring Julian Lewis. He's going to be on campus for the Auburn Tigers this weekend, and I think a phenomenal opportunity to land one of the top signal callers in this 2025 class. Again, reclassified from that 2026 cycle to 2025. This is a guy that has a lot of pull with the top playmakers in that southeast region of the United States, and I think has emerged as the top target for the Auburn Tigers. We'll tomorrow kind of dive into a few more visitors that'll be on campus. Got to get a little bit more film in on some of these guys. Tavarus Dice, massive get, and I think Auburn's got a little bit of momentum heading into a massive recruiting weekend this weekend. We'll keep you guys updated. Might even talk about some more commitments in the next couple of days. Appreciate y'all rocking with the boys. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.